Hello, Robots in Disguise fans, and welcome to another AfterBuzz TV Robots in Disguise After Show. Today we are covering episodes 5 and 6, Cover Me and Brain Power. See you after the opening.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I've seen you burn on me before.
Here it goes.
Fiery night.
Katie's never heard this song before.
I've never actually heard. Oh, and we got a light show!
Fiery nights. It's so good. But you just take a little piece of my heart. It's so good.
Bless. Thank you for bringing that up. I had not heard that before. Hey guys, you got the cold opening beforehand. Welcome back. We're back.
Yay!
There were definitely some Easter holidays and other holidays and away missions going on there, but we have returned. Of course, with us in the booth is the lovely Alexis the Wrecker Torres.
Hey everybody, you can find me all over social media as aTorres890.
And with me at the table, Emma the Speedster Fyffe.
Hello, I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe.
Megan Lord Megantron Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. While I'm not rocking out to this at all.
Yes, don't tweet her while she's rocking out. She doesn't like to be interrupted. And I'm Katie Kia Prime Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at KiaJ. That's KIAXET. We are going to pull up the live chat in just a minute, and we have our hashtag ABTVRID. So if you have anything fun to say, throw it in there. You may well get a shout out. So let's talk about Cover Me. What did you guys think of this episode?
It was like Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Wow, straight up.
Did we watch the same episode?
No, I mean it was like Lord of the Rings. They're like their whole thing going on with the.
I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was to me, it felt very much like a Lord of the Rings journey episode. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing is okay. So with the B team that doesn't include Bumblebee,
the non-B
the
B
not,
team.
the not
Can we
B
make the chat a little
B
bigger, please?
Team.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The not B team. They're like that's what they're like just on a journey. They're like trying to get home. You know what I mean? Like it feels like Lord of the Rings, except for instead of journeying to like drop the ring in Mount Doom, they're like trying to get.
They're trying to drop Decepticons into Windblade's caches.
I think maybe it's more like Star Trek Voyager.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
Like they're trying to figure out how to get home.
Or I always enjoyed Sliders.
Sure,
Where
yes,
the
Sliders.
whole point was trying to get home.
Yeah.
And they're just picking up Decepticons and dropping them into Windblade's caches
Yeah.
along the way. Like,
Yeah.
all right, we got one. All right, you stay there.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep moving.
Yeah.
I was sincerely hoping we would get Ratchet in this episode, and I was super disappointed when that was not a thing that occurred.
It was not.
Like, I want it, and Optimus obviously needs it.
Yep. It's going to be a slow burn. Although
Oh, yeah.
I do like that between these two episodes that they're still establishing that he's still very hurt. And in the following episode, we'll get to it, but they make a Prime reference. And so I'm hoping that with the combination of those two things, we do get Ratchet in the future because he's my favorite curmudgeon of all time.
Yes.
I'm pretty convinced that we will, quite frankly.
I was hoping.
But again, it's, I think that for anybody who has not seen Transformers Prime, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Because it's awesome and you should watch it.
Watch it.
It's all on Netflix.
But secondly, it's kind of like this is a conversation I've been having with a lot of people recently about Batman versus Superman, which is that DC didn't earn that movie.
Yes.
Whereas Marvel earned the Avengers. We already had spent time with all of these characters and we cared about them. So I think that what they're doing right now is like they're giving us time with these Robots in Disguise specific characters to build up that relationship with them before we start introducing characters from a previous series. It's very much like Star Wars Rebels did this season.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
They started in season 2 to incorporate a lot more of the characters from Clone Wars. And I'm thinking / really, really hoping that is what we're going to end up seeing in this season.
You gotta care about Ezra, Hera, Kanan,
Right.
and Sabine and Zeb before you bring in Ahsoka because she'll steal the spotlight.
Exactly. Just like you gotta care about Drift and Windblade and Sideswipe.
I already care about Drift. Where are you guys? He came in and I was like, that one.
Yeah. I adore him immensely.
I will say that this episode, I love the aesthetic. I love the look of all of the robots in this particular episode because we had our palette swap, and I really like the look of all of these Decepticons. That being said, I kind of feel like some of the whole crux of this story was really odd.
Oh yeah,
and I feel like the moral was sort of muddled.
It was pretty messed
you
up
on that. Yeah, I mean,
everything I've watched this week has been weird, with the exception of Rebels and Shield. Like all of my TV shows have just been left of center this week for some reason.
I mean, it was because I agree with you, Megan. Like, I loved the palette swap, and as I say, like, I love what I sort of interpreted as that like Lord of the Rings quest and all the sort of trials and tribulations they were going through. But ultimately, it was like, I was mad that like Sideswipe was right about like Optimus needing like being grandpa. You know what I mean?
It's a double standard because it's okay for Optimus to pretend like he's not hurt and to keep pushing forward, but for Windblade, all of a sudden, oh no, she's a liability. She's the weakest. She's the weak link
exactly.
here.
And at the beginning of the episode,
Optimus is doing the exact same thing.
Well, and specifically at the beginning of the episode, they were all treating Optimus as if he were the weak link because he kind of was in some ways.
He kept falling over.
True.
And when Optimus falls over, it's kind of a big crash. I mean, he is a very, very large bot.
Absolutely. But it's true, Megan, because it was sort of problematic because with the stuff going on with Optimus, they were like, Drift specifically is like, oh, well, he's a Prime, so we just need to allow him to prime it up.
I think we've established that the Primes have no idea what they're doing. I think we've established that. I think Megan and I were talking about it when we were watching it. What they did to Optimus was kind of like an impromptu kidney surgery. Like, they gave him a kidney, and then once he recovered, they took the kidney back, and he's still recovering post-op.
So he's Charlie the Unicorn.
Kind of.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney.
He should be in a bathtub of ice somewhere and not, gallivanting across the countryside.
By the way, bathtub of ice is not great post-op care.
Nope.
BT does. Yeah.
True, but do you really think they cared about the surgery?
If you legitimately have a kidney removed, that is not the treatment you will receive.
If you wake up in a bathtub of ice, please call the hospital.
Problem
Immediately. Call
with like
911
everything.
immediately.
But because you are in for a bad time. But I get what they were going for. It's the whole seeing the flaws in somebody else, but not being able to see them in yourself.
Sure, absolutely.
In my opinion, this was not the best execution because
She got taken out by a gopher.
it was forced every step of the way. Because I get. And I have a hard time justifying it. And I will make a lot of justifications for Transformers-related things. I have justified things I probably shouldn't have justified. But with this one, she was taken out by a gopher, of all things, which I've never been so angry at a gopher since Indiana Jones 4.
Sure.
And then,
I think I repressed that.
Yeah.
And then I can justify her falling and not being able to save herself because not enough time to transform. Okay.
Right.
But then when she lands in the river, she should have sunk to the bottom and or been able to transform and get herself out. Because I'm pretty sure we've seen her transform underwater before.
Yeah.
I believe you are correct.
So
this
I
whole
have a
thing,
hard time really going along with any of this.
Yeah.
I think we were calling it contrived drama.
Yeah,
exactly. It was extremely contrived.
It did feel very contrived. I just wanted to address something that Night Chick was saying in the chat about, starting this episode with the team all being like, oh man, Optimus, he's such a liability. And she points out that they're all kind of forgetting that Optimus is a war hero, essentially. And yes, he has died and returned several times.
True, but that was before he died and got brought back to life and then died again and then kind of got brought back to life maybe and then had impromptu kidney surgery. He might be a war hero, but he's also the type of person to worry about other people and completely disregard his own health.
Absolutely.
Which is why we need Ratchet, because Ratchet is the one bot who can tell him to sit his chassis down and get better.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Jack, you are absolutely right. Optimus has died in pretty much every incarnation of
tradition. It is the world's worst tradition.
For Optimus Prime, death is like for us going to the dentist.
Sure. Death is the next beginning.
Why would you do that?
The death fist?
but it's an inconvenience.
what?
It has to happen. But ultimately, he comes out of it just fine.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
And circling back to Windblade and the falling in the water and that like being part of her downfall, and Jack also in the chat sort of made me think of this, is it's like, even if we didn't see her transform underwater, we have definitely seen all of these Transformers underwater when they were dealing with that like octopus Decepticon. So they are waterproof.
And they sink.
And I don't want to make assumptions about how strong the river is, the current of the river is, but I'm not a physics major, but I still feel like she would have sunk instead of gotten carried away. Like,
I think she would have sunk and then gotten dragged along the bottom. Like, you want some legitimate drama? Go for that.
Yeah.
But this whole floating thing and then Sideswipe's failed QuickTime events and just
exactly
that was Megan's phrase, and it's beautiful.
It was like I was expecting the little circle X to appear on the screen for like press X so that Sideswipe grabs her.
And it's a failed QuickTime event. Like, I lived through enough Kingdom Hearts to know what this looks like.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Or Until Dawn was the one that came out not that long ago. That was nothing but quick time. Nothing but quick time events.
So yeah, just this whole episode, like, they tried and they had an okay moral about it's okay to worry about other people, but you also have to be aware of how you're doing. Like, got it? But the way they got with there was so contrived and so ridiculous. Like, Death Gopher.
Well, and
it's like a horror movie.
And I don't know, a really bad one. Like,
we've had Zombievers, okay? That's a movie that exists.
It's true.
I can't help but wonder if maybe the reason we're really upset about it is because this is Windblade of all bots. Like, I don't know if I would be as upset if it was one of the guy bots, in all honesty.
I would still be upset if it were Drift, namely because of the personalities we've established for them. Windblade is a warrior, she knows her stuff. Drift is a warrior, he knows his stuff. Sideswipe's a freaking idiot. So if it was Sideswipe trying to do this and getting attacked by a gopher and falling over, we'd be like, oh, it's Tuesday.
Oh, Sideswipe.
We would still find the Death Gopher to be fairly contrived, but we would just be like, it's Sideswipe, he does these things.
And not saying
Windblade doesn't usually do these things.
Yeah,
and so it's weird.
Not saying that our female characters can't be flawed, because they should be. That's what makes them well-rounded characters. But this just seems so out of place and so forced.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that, like, Windblade was the one that Optimus was kind of, like, opening up to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from that perspective, it was like, there were definitely good things about this episode, and things that I think are admirable, like, girl qualities that we were seeing in Windblade this week that made it seem natural that she would be the one that Optimus was really connecting with. Because, Drift is definitely a little one note, and Sideswipe's kind of all over the place. So
yeah.
Although,
Drift had a moment this episode, though. It's an excellent test for my students. The test is over.
Yes.
It's just like, the second they get hurt like that, it's like, and we're done.
Yeah.
that was adorable, though.
It really was.
I love him being a dad.
Yeah.
But
I love the Minicons.
You actually made a really good point while we were watching it, and maybe this is more justification for it being Windblade having to go through this particular lesson. Was when Optimus is walking away, like limping away, and she's talking to Drift, and she's like, "If anything happens to him, I'd never forgive myself." And Katie out loud said, "Well, doesn't that make it about you?" And that's a kind of a good reminder of, like, when you are concerned for other people, like when you put other people's well-being on your own shoulders and make it your responsibility, that is a problem.
It is a problem, and it's also something that Optimus does all the time.
Oh my god, yes. He is like the poster boy for this.
So, yeah.
And again, you're kind of, is that like a savior syndrome sort of thing, where it's like, I'm responsible for this.
It's like a martyr syndrome.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you make it about yourself. And that's not, I mean, it's a great quality to want to help people and to want to keep people safe, but, like, at the same time, when you put that burden on yourself, that usually doesn't end well. So,
and you don't need to, and it's for the detriment of others. Like, yeah, I can definitely see that that's what they were going for, but I'm not over the death chipmunk, you guys. Whatever that tiny rodent was, that was the dumbest reason.
Listen, but the Minicons were great.
The
Oh
Minicons
my God.
I
were
love
so
all of the
great.
Minicons.
I love
They
how
were
many
all
Minicons
glorious.
we're getting, like, because there were Minicons in both episodes that we're talking about tonight, and it's kind of like everyone gets their own Pokemon. Like, it's great. It's great. I love
So
it.
our Minicons are Swelter and Glacius. So
love
we've
them.
hence the fire and ice starter.
Fun.
They're great. I love them. Which one's Jeff?
Fun trivia fact about the voice
Oh.
actors. The voice actor for Swelter is the original voice actor from Michelangelo from the original Teenage
that's
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
awesome.
And the voice of what was the
Glacius.
Glacius? Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri Lowenthal.
That's hysterical.
It's just like, oh, okay. Hi.
Oh man.
And we have Razor. I wrote it as Razor Paw and Razor Claw, and I think I wrote it incorrectly. It's a Razor Paw.
Razor Paw, yeah.
Which, okay, is a cougar. Or a puma.
Kind of looks more like a puma.
It looks like a big cat. I told you to stop making up animals. Yeah.
Somebody in the I don't remember who. Somebody in the
Yeah,
chat.
no,
brought up puma.
all of the red versus blue jokes because cougar, puma, and mountain lion are the same animal.
They are.
So yeah, now that you know, yes, and he is evidently something of a vampire.
Yeah,
Because
is that a
he's-
thing that like all Transformers can do? Siphon off energon from other.
Well, it's a vehicle thing. I mean, you can siphon gasoline from another car's tank, but the only other time we've seen that was a vampire bat Decepticon, and that was the point.
Yeah.
But we also had some glorious hallucinations to go along with that, so that was pretty
is true.
amazing. This was just like, I need energon, I need a blood transfusion.
Which
So who even knows?
Blah, blah,
We had kind of a we had kind of a weak con, but we had great mini cons.
Yeah, they were really cute. I liked them.
I loved like their bicker. I loved probably my favorite line was Razor Paw is never happy because like
He's
the
never
long-
happy. He'll never be grateful. Think of the scraps. All we're getting is scraps.
The long-suffering Minicons is a recurring theme, and this is the first time we actually get to see Minicons who are fed up with it, or at least one Minicon who's fed up with it.
Yeah.
Everybody else just sort of rolls with it, or like they are like a makeshift family, or if
Totally.
they leave, it's because of their own personal shame, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So this is really fun.
They're wonderful,
Yeah.
and I adore them. They're kind of the heart of this episode.
Minicon
and I
uprising is nigh.
and I don't understand why they're working for Razorpaw when they are ostensibly more powerful than he is.
I actually totally agree with you on that. Yeah, to me, Razor Claw was kind of forgettable and weird.
He really was.
You know, and the two Minicons that like their designs were really interesting, and they had an interesting dynamic, and
They were the most color in this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Everyone else was in the desert tones, and I
Yeah.
swear those yellow eyes freaked me right the hell out. Because they didn't have pupils, it was just yellow eyes. And I'm like, okay, we've given our hearts to darkness.
It was a very Kingdom Hearts thing.
We're having trouble
I
with
liked
that.
it. I appreciated it. But I will say that with these, with Razor Claw or Razor Paw, whatever his name was,
The cougar.
yeah,
That Puma. That guy.
Mountain
Big
lion?
cat.
The big cat.
the kitty cat. Yeah, it didn't necessarily make sense with every other Minicon Decepticon partnership that we've seen. It's always made sense. Or if it fell apart, it made sense why it fell apart. And this one is like, what's their story? How did they end
Yeah.
up with this guy? Aesthetically, they don't match
go together
him.
at all. No,
Yeah, and the problem with him is that he could have been really interesting.
Yeah.
He literally sucks the life out of other Transformers. He can recognize, quote unquote, the weak link in any given group. That could have been really interesting, and the fact that he has these Minicons working for him, we could have seen a very manipulative, very interesting, intelligent bot. But instead, we just kind of get a bully.
yeah.
And
He was just kind of a jerk, and he was hungry.
yeah.
He was
Yeah.
hangry, and that's the whole episode for him.
That was about it.
He just, there was really nothing to him.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we talk a little bit about Sideswipe?
I mean, I just loved that it ended up being like the Sideswipe annoying drift show.
Oh my God, Drift was just like, stick a fork in me. I am
I know.
so done.
He was like, I am turning off my audio receptors. And Sideswipe's like, still just talking.
And at the beginning where it's like, I bet you can't stay silent for 5 seconds. I counted. It was exactly 5 seconds, and then he went on again. Just like...
you know what I took away from Sideswipe just going on and on during this entire road trip? He really misses Strong
really does.
Every other word was Strong Arm did this, and Strong Arm did that,
and we did this, and we did that, and we did this other thing, and I'm like, if Windblade and Drift have been hanging out at the base, weren't they there for most of these?
I kind of granted, whenever I see them together, I do think more of the brother-sister bickering sort of thing.
Yeah.
But now that they're separated and, that's all that they can talk about is the other, I'm like, maybe this romance thing could work out. I don't know.
Mitchell was the one that said it, not me.
Nah, I'm not into that. Renji in the chat says Glacius is Mr. 10 Below. I've been singing the Heat Miser song all freaking day because the Transformers wiki used that as their swelter caption. And I'm just like,
Nice.
It's the year without a Santa Claus. Everyone knows the songs. No one remembers the movie.
I'm Mr. White Christmas.
I like that movie.
Mr. Snow.
Remember that movie?
Okay, good. Alexis remembers.
Yeah.
Good. Alexis will remember this.
Yes, forever and ever.
My favorite Rankin Bass is Santa Claus is Coming to Town, specifically because of the psychedelic music video that happens in the middle
Oh
of
my
it.
gosh, I forgot about that. Oh man, I need to rewatch
The
that.
one with Mickey Rooney?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ginger Santa.
Yeah, Ginger Santa.
I have to stick with Rudolph, but Burl Ives as the snowman is 1,000% of the
Brilliant.
reason why.
Same here. Rudolph was the first one I ever saw. So that's
That was
that's
a nice
tangent
little
stone.
detour back to our ship war. Just the ongoing comedy with Sideswipe being Sideswipe and Drift being done.
Yeah.
Was a thing of wonder and beauty. To the fact where our ending joke was, for once he's quiet,
Oh, no.
take your sweet time getting us out of
because
this
they got
trap.
encased in the
In molten metal,
Yeah.
because Swelter and Glacius are heavyweights.
Yeah.
Again, I don't understand why they're working for Razorpaw. This guy's got nothing.
Nobody knows.
Well, and
Nobody
again,
really
they
gets
work
it.
well together.
They
because
do.
Fire and ice is a great combination.
All right, do we have any final thoughts on that episode?
I think we've.
It was fine.
Okay,
It
talking
was-
about...
It was okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Talking about episode 6, Brain Power, we need to kind of make a high-speed pass at this one. We're a little low on time for a full episode covering. This episode, man, I feel like I've seen this before.
I know, but you know what? I really liked it. I actually really, really enjoyed this
was
one.
fun.
And I like that because this is something we talked about on the show a lot, which is that the value of Grimlock to the group. And
Yes.
here we basically see that Grimlock, just as he is
extremely valuable.
Is extremely valuable, exactly. Because basically, his issue is that he's like, you don't include me in any of the strategy meetings. I can be really good at strategy and stuff. And
Well, he does need to know what's going on. It's a valid point. I have to bring this up. Ali Surratt in the chat says, and Sideswipe has claustrophobia.
Oh,
and
yeah.
oh God, suddenly that's horrific. Oh man, that stopped being funny real fast.
Yep.
Woo.
Yep.
Anyway, I had to bring that up because dang, back to the subject at hand.
But basically, there is Grimlock feels that he is being excluded because he thinks that Bee and Strongarm don't think that he is intelligent enough to participate in some of the planning, and
they
he's
kind of
not
say that in
wrong.
so many words.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Have we seen him be excluded in that way? I mean, I know there was that episode where he and Strongarm weren't getting along because she was like, you're not doing things the way Sideswipe and I do them. But
Right.
have they ever, prior to this, ever excluded him from planning stages? Because usually Bee's there to dole out orders to everybody.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever actually done that. So this is kind of an odd little premise.
Yeah, I mean, it did not. I'm
I
gonna be
think they
totally
just-
honest. It didn't bother me at all.
I think they just needed a reason for Grimlock to feel like everybody else, like he felt like everybody else thought he was dumb.
and I think it is a valid point and a totally valid premise for an episode, because we are so aware of the fact that Grim is, when it comes to your sort of what we classically define as intelligence, Grimlock is not He is not the sharpest tool in the shed.
He's the bulkhead of the group. He's the big dumb bruiser.
Yeah.
He's got a fairly high level of emotional intelligence, which makes a lot of sense. But he's who you bring in when you need to beat something into a pulp.
Right.
He's the same role as bulkhead.
Right.
Yeah, he's not quoting Chaucer or Shakespeare.
Sure.
I did love that we got intelligent word salad from him after this.
Yes.
And I loved that we had, this happened to a friend of mine once. We were able to solve it with this. Like, thank you for acknowledging that this is a plot that we've seen before.
Absolutely. And I mean, and I don't know, I felt like Grimlock versus, say, Bulkhead. Like, Bulkhead, I feel like, is more like, whatever, man, that's my job. But, like, there's this real, like, loving innocence about Grimlock that he just wants to be included, you know? And it doesn't come from a place of, like, he wants to be valued in everything, and he wants his opinions to be heard, and he wants people to think well of him.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of his issue here, was he was like, no, they don't think I'm good enough, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and take the Academy entrance exam. I'm going to accidentally download 8 bazillion gigs worth of data into my brain.
Yeah,
It will eventually kill me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not good.
Well, and Bulkhead was never self-conscious about not
Correct.
being scholarly.
Correct.
He was like, I'm a builder and a wrecker.
I build stuff, I break
and that's what
stuff.
I'm good at, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right here, though, yeah, Grim 100%. He thinks that the people around him think less of him, and he's very hurt by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is, you know, part of a journey for Grim towards realizing his own self-worth.
Yeah. Like, so it was a fun episode. I loved our con. I loved our Minicons.
Oh, yeah.
Those were fun. Our con was that an orangutan? Was that a mandrill?
It was
certainly
It was
a
King
primate.
Louie.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a mandrill. I'm not sure. But we
Yeah.
had a very large monkey named Simicor.
It was Simeon for sure.
And then we had his 2 little monkey Minicons that were Axiom and Theorem. And I thought those were just great names.
Yeah.
And he's basically an angry scientist. Like, when things don't go wrong, when things don't go right, he beats people up.
Fun trivia fact again about these Minicons. Both of them are voiced by Jeff Bennett, who is no stranger to the Transformers world.
At which point we both just go, proud! And cry a little bit because Animated broke our hearts, and that was unfair. He's also the reporter whose name currently escapes me on Rescue Bots.
Rescue Bots.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't know
what
that?
is the reporter's name?
You know who we're talking about.
Yeah,
the
no, I
guy
know
with
exactly
the
who you're
autonomous
talking about.
cameras.
Yes. Oh, man. Aw.
That idiot. Yeah, Jeff Bennett.
That's
he
great.
basically lives in the Transformers franchise.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I was very happy to find that
Yeah,
out.
not a bad place to be.
So we had, what I thought was interesting for this is that the increased intelligence, and by that I mean we've overloaded the hard drive for Grimlock, made him a worse fighter, because instead of trusting his instincts, which is what he does, he was analyzing every single move before making a choice, and he just wound up doing nothing.
Yeah, unlike the Sherlock Holmes movies where everything gets slowed down and he has enough time to analyze everything and make the right decision, he was just kind of frozen. He's like, I don't know what to do.
I think it's because Grimlock's not used to operating on that sort of level of analytical thinking, you know?
Well, and you can have a ton of data in a computer, but if you don't have the processing power to handle it, it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the processing power for that sort of thing.
Yep.
It's like trying to load YouTube on Windows 98. It's just not going to
literally
happen.
information overload. Yeah.
Yep, totally.
So that was fun and interesting to watch. And then we wound up with a battle of wits, which was my favorite part of the episode. Huxley Prescott. Thank you, Night Chick. That was the name. That was the name.
I was like, he's got some, you know, I'm trying to think of a child-friendly way of saying this.
He's kind of a jerk sometimes.
Yeah.
He's kind of a self-centered jerk. It happens. But just this battle of wits. And it starts off with the train question. If a train leaves a station at here going this miles an hour in this direction and this other train, like, Once I figured out that it was the train question,
Yep.
she could vouch. I was just crying with laughter. It was beautiful.
And I wish you guys. Sometimes I wish you guys could see us reacting to the episodes. It's fine. We don't have to do that. But
I feel like once in a while we should just film one just to show people.
But the second he gets done asking the question, Emma immediately went, "There is no nuance anymore."
Underbite in it. And then that wound up being the... Because I'm used to that trick question being, they won't ever meet because X.
Right.
It's like, and, well, I suppose technically that's correct.
Yep.
So going into, there really was no plan for this challenging to a battle of wits, and they don't have a question prepared, and they're not prepared to answer the question that was asked of them, and it was such a train wreck. It was hysterical, but it was
guys,
the biggest wreck of trains.
But I was really proud that I came up with the correct
Because we watched it before. We're sitting here watching her watch it for the first time, and she goes, and then this, and we're like,
yep. Just like,
sure.
Just wait for it. Yep. But I really hope the Nuance City thing keeps coming up.
I know.
Because Underbite was so mad that no one remembered him for it. So the fact that everyone does, at least our bots remember him for it.
Well, and I love that
he pounded it into their brains, literally. I ate Nuance City.
Yeah, I mean, he literally talked about it nonstop for a whole 23-minute episode, and it was nice to see that, like, they brought that back, because if that had not been the solution, then I'd be like, guys, come on.
And it's
what
pretty
I really
great
want
that
is
Simicor knew about it, too.
Yeah.
That it wasn't our bot's reaction, which was, who was that?
Right.
What's Nuance City?
Listen, apparently the Decepticons know all about each other's
like,
great life achievements.
Well, they all wound up on the thing. Help me.
Oh, the Alchemar?
Thank you.
Yeah.
The ship.
But, like, they were all in stasis pods. You don't exactly get to chit-chat while you're in stasis.
No, but I'm thinking that these kind of happened around the same time, or at least early enough that they know about it, as opposed to our bots who came along God knows how many millennia later.
I'm just really waiting for the moment Underbite comes across a bot, either a Decepticon or an Autobot that he's never met before, and they're like, I know you!
Yeah.
You're the one responsible for the destruction of Nuance City!
Yep.
And his eyes will just light up. I'm waiting for that moment.
Have a Harriet Jones moment. We know who you are.
Yep. Oh, man. Yeah.
It's always great when I can break people with Harriet Jones references.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Anyway.
So we've basically learned that, don't exclude people because you don't think they're up to snuff. And people have different strengths, and you should, yes.
I'm just really glad that magnets seem to not have the ability to immobilize Transformers, but not scramble their circuitry.
Well, they're Transformers, not TVs.
Yeah.
Saying it says someone who has actually applied a magnet to a TV before to see what would happen.
Yeah. I just want to just circling back and just addressing something that Roz Mystica said in the chat, that the value of Grimlock, like, basically, like, he came up with an acceptable answer in this battle of wits, and basically saying that he is, like, he has his own, he's smart in his own way.
And it's not like he can't learn anything either, because he now knows what the shortest distance between 2 points are. It's a straight line. And that's something he can relate to, because going straight through a wall is fantastic.
Is his style. Well, he's got, like I said, he's got emotional intelligence, and he's adaptable. He approaches problems from a different angle than everyone.
Yeah. And
it causes problems when most people are on the same page, and he's over here going, nope, I'm a punch it. Like, that doesn't always work.
Yep.
So, but here it worked really super well, because, wow, nobody should ever do this Battle of Wits thing ever again. No one's good at it. Just stop. You are not armed for this. Do we have any final thoughts on this episode? Anything that we skipped over?
I just love Grimlock a lot, you guys.
I don't know how I feel about him.
Yeah, no, we do.
Yeah.
I want to know if particle accelerators do actually fire laser beams.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I wasn't sure if that's a thing that actually occurred.
If there are any particle physicists out there, let us know.
Let us know.
If there are any particle
new things.
physicists in our chat, by all means.
What I am going to say is that I liked that ultimately the solution to saving everybody in this episode was, in fact, the Grimlock solution.
It was be yourself.
Yeah.
At the bottom line, but
Yeah.
it was also punch things really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what being yourself counts as for Grim.
Exactly. Ultimately, in the end, he punched through a wall, and he punched the console that was controlling the particle cannon, and that was controlling the magnet that was holding his friends, that they were going to get shot with the particle cannon, and everybody...
And once again, the day was saved
Yeah.
thanks to Grimlock.
Yeah, analytical Grimlock was paralyzed with fear.
Yeah.
Grimlock himself knew what to do to take action.
Yeah.
I'll say that, Grimlock is adorable and great, but I like that since we had such a similar story to what we saw in Prime, I like the acknowledgement of, yes, this, we acknowledge that we're essentially recycling a plot from Prime, but this story isn't going in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it would have been
appreciate that.
cheap if they hadn't acknowledged it at all, but the fact that they said, oh yeah, that might have happened, but our physiology is too different for it to work that way again, we need to come up with something else, okay, and the whole audience kind of goes, we're not recycling a full episode. All right. Faith in you is rewarded.
It would have been so easy for them to just be like, oh yeah, we've done this before, and then boom, it hits every single emotional beat that episode hit. And I'm really glad that they didn't go that.
That episode hit a lot of emotional beats. That episode hurts, man.
It really did. But we didn't go that way, and I
Thank
like
goodness.
that they took it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love the Minicons sniping at each other. Just being jerks the whole time to each other was just wonderful to me. And it was Jeff Bennett yelling at himself.
Somebody
That
pointed
was
out in the
wonderful.
chat earlier that that they were watching with their mom, and their mom said that everybody gets a Minicon this season.
You get a Minicon, and you get a Minicon. Everyone gets a Minicon. Check under your seats. Emma, no, there's not actually a Minicon
You
under
lied
there.
to us. You lied
I was
to
about
us.
to run in there and be like, oh my god, oh my god.
No, they're all under the sofa.
Okay.
All right, okay. Chat, if you've got any final thoughts, since we're on a minute and a half delay, something like that. Now would be a good time to throw them in. My last thoughts are actually on Cover Me when they mentioned that Razorpaw isn't in the manifest.
Yeah, the manifest.
Once again, and it's like, well, okay, Kanye shrug. Something's wrong with the manifest, you guys.
Either something's wrong with the manifest, or there are several ships that
Right.
have crashed onto Earth that there's no record of.
Which I don't think is far-fetched based on some of the stuff we've seen with Decepticons on a spaceship.
And especially with Prime, just we put things down here, and we keep Energon here, and we keep other stuff here. No, there's been things going back and forth for Earth for forever. So, of course, there's going to be stuff that the manifest doesn't know about. Of
course.
3-syllable words. I'm in trouble today, you guys. But yes, we want to take a minute to talk to you about iTunes. I know we do this every single time, but we will continue to do it because seriously, we love you guys when you leave reviews. We love you guys all the time, but we especially love when you leave reviews because they're wonderful and they keep us going and they let our bosses know that, hey, we really like this panel talking about giant robots. We should continue to have this panel talk about giant robots. And the feedback does help because occasionally people who work on the show do take a look at the reviews to see if they want to come on. And so good reviews are a good way to get people. So leave a review, rate us 5 stars, tell us why you love us, because you know we love you. We haven't had any new reviews this month, but when we get a new review, we do read it on the show because seriously, we adore you. So yes, please and thank you, leave iTunes reviews. Doesn't look like we have anything new in chat aside from Sideswipe is missing strong arm.
Yeah.
And Cybertron is full of problems.
Keep your junk off our planet, Cybertron.
Just yes.
Yeah.
And hoping that we will get characters in from Prime, but I think that leads us into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Laser light show. You love it even though it doesn't have lasers. Emma, you're humming. I'm curious.
I was just trying to think what my predictions were. I mean, I'm still on the Ratchet train.
They made a toy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and go, they made a toy.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yep. Ratchet is obviously going to be incorporated at some point. I do hope in the near future, and I'm just curious what the plot line is that's gonna get us there. I feel like it's gonna involve Optimus just, Optimusing it up, just taking it that step too far.
I will say, when they ended up at the military base, the fact that I don't know where they were at, but it did look like it was in the desert.
They were in a canyon in a military base, and I'm sitting here going, "It's Canyons the show again. Could it be?"
And I was like, "Could Agent Fowler be at that base?" No. Okay, that's cool.
I was really
roll with it.
yeah.
Honestly, I'm expecting to find either Raph or Jack working there, and for the military or in conjunction or something. Especially Raph.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's been like more. I mean, I'm sure there has been more sort of like Cybertronian activity on Earth than
Well, there's a
we're
comic
aware
series
of.
that touches on that. I haven't gotten a chance to really look at it.
Yeah.
I
read
am
the
so
first
behind
issue.
on my pull list.
Yeah. But yeah, so there is a comic series that does focus on some of the bots from Prime
Sure, yeah.
on Earth
Right.
at the same time as our ID. We haven't had a chance to look at them, so nobody spoil them for us, please.
Like I said, I am way behind on my pull list.
Yeah.
But that being said, I definitely think they're bringing Ratchet back into the fold at some point, because they wouldn't make the fact that Optimus is still hurt
Right.
a point if there wasn't some future resolution to
I
that.
agree. I totally agree.
And I think it's been a couple episodes since we've seen the Insecticon ship. I'm thinking that this next episode we're gonna bring them back into the fold a little bit.
Yeah.
I really want more from Glowstrike, and I want to see
Scorponok!
Scorponok.
Scorponok!
Sure.
Oh my god, when he's not a religious fanatic or an idiot, sign me up!
Yeah.
Well, and
I am signed up. I want to see it.
Exactly. It's so nice to see him not having to answer to anybody and seeing what he can be like that. But I'm also really excited about seeing Steeljaw try to
get in with them. Yeah.
What is the character's name? Ianto from
Othello?
Othello.
Yeah,
Iago?
just
Iago.
being there
Iago is Torchwood.
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Slightly different, but Iago basically being the guy that's on the side who's gonna move in here.
I am waiting for him to go full Starscream for this group.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's going to want to do. He's going to come in and be like, "Oh no, I'm loyal, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. I'm taking over."
Yeah.
It's my ship now.
I'm into it.
That said, I would also be down for actual Starscream showing up at some point, because no body, no death. Mm-hmm. No body, no death. And I realize that I am so far in denial that we are vacationing in Egypt at this point, and I don't care, because I really want Steve Bloom in here again.
That'd be great.
Oh man. Yes.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, we had him in for
For Star Wars Rebels, and he broke out the Starscream voice, and I just about melted on camera.
It was great.
Which is kind of professional adjacent.
Yes,
all right.
professional adjacent.
That's the adjacent part.
Yep.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Just that these were two kind of odd episodes
really
back
were.
to back. Not without their merits, but back to back, it was this was a weird watch.
I liked the second episode. The first one, I agree, was it wasn't bad. It was fine. It was good. It just wasn't top notch.
We finally got more of the B team.
Yeah, and
right.
I think that's what it is that I was hoping for a stronger return from them.
Well, and I think we're all just waiting for Ratchet, because we've seen the toy and we have our hearts set on this.
know.
And that every time we see the B team and he doesn't show up, we're disappointed.
Well, and-
which is probably not a good way to approach
Well,
this.
the other
No.
thing about it, aside from the fact that we want Ratchet back, obviously, is that we have such high standards for Transformers because Prime was so good, and the first season of this was very, very good.
Overall, it was very strong.
We've seen great standalone episodes in this series, and when a standalone doesn't advance like those other long-reaching plots, or fall short on a couple different things, we're disappointed because we have such high standards for this material.
Yeah.
It's not that this is bad television, because this is still head and shoulders above what's on TV for a lot of kids right now.
Absolutely.
We're getting back into the era of really good cartoons. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Gravity
absolutely.
Falls, Wander, a bunch of other shows that have sadly been canceled.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
But this is still going. This is good. And, we will see you all next week for the next 2 episodes, and that will be fun and interesting. Alexis, I'm calling on you.
Oh.
Yes, where can the people find you?
Oh, you can find me. Oh, hold on.
All right, Emma.
You can find me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe, which is my name. You can find me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm doing Bob's Burgers later tonight. Sailor Moon Crystal is coming back tomorrow at 10. I'm so excited. Viz just announced that they're going to be simulcasting it. So you can see myself and Megan on that show tomorrow night at 10 p.m.
Yay! I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, including Sailor Moon Crystal. And I also write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. I'm on Arrow, which is doing some fun and interesting things, and I am on Blind Spot on Tuesday nights. And I think I'm the only person without a side project right now. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, rev up and roll out.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterbuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.